Welcome everybody back to the First Strike Podcast. I am your host and I go by the Marathon Don. This is officially episode number 17 and I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for supporting our YouTube channel. We are officially the fastest growing combat sports podcast in the world. We're over 12,000 subscribers and we keep going each and every day, and that's because each and every one of you. So thank you so much for tuning in. I can't believe it. We have to talk about it. Fatal Fury, Times Square, Ryan Garcia losing to Rolly Romero. Wow, what an upset. I really can't believe it. I can't believe it. I had a fantastic parlay. I think everybody did. Everybody bet Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, and Teofimo, and Ryan Garcia lost. I am still shocked that he was knocked down with that beautiful double left hook by Rolly Romero. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about the fight that everyone's talking about. Ryan Garcia in the main event losing to Rolly Romero by a landslide decision, unanimous decision. And I think that Ryan Garcia, he looked flat. I think he looked like he didn't have much pop. He looked a little bit tired, like mentally fatigued. He really looked like he didn't want to be there. Like, I've never seen him so dejected. And in the post-fight press conference, there were a few things that he mentioned about like the atmosphere, that he could hear everything because it was such an intimate audience as opposed to like the bigger arenas. He mentioned like feeling a little off, and honestly he looked so out of it. He looked deflated. He didn't really had a lot of pop in his punches, barely let his hands go. His footwork looked flat. And in New York that day, like, I'm a New Yorker, so I know the weather and I know what it feels like because I was out here that day and it was upwards of 80 degrees. So I do get it. Like, fighting outside in those conditions, I don't know if they had fans or some sort of air conditioner, but I imagine that plays a factor. Another thing that I didn't really like for the fighters was like their commute to the place, like their ring walk setup. It was very unique, but it also looked like it looked a little stressful. So in Rolly Romero's case, he had like a cab that was waiting for him. So he was waiting in the cab, and the cab took him to the festival area. And then in Ryan Garcia's case, they decided to come out with the Batmobile. So I thought that was pretty cool, like him coming out of the Batmobile, but it looked like because of the amount of people in Times Square and the type of preparation, it looked like he had been there for a while. Like, he was sitting down, just waiting to be taken to the arena or like the festival area. And I have to think that has to play a factor, because if you're 80 degrees, around a lot of people in a car waiting, like, did that contribute to him looking flat? Was he mentally fatigued by the time the fight started? And I mean, I was just so disappointed. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, he barely let his hands go. I think Rolly Romero boxed the best fight of his life. Like, I've never seen him box like that. Even when he fought the likes of Isaac Cruz or Gervonta, like, his discipline. He had his right hand glued to his face the entire night of the fight, like the entire time. And I think that was something that was very, very impressive. And just his counter punching, every time Ryan Garcia looked to set up anything or even let his hands go a little bit, Rolly Romero would just beat him to it. Like, his counter punching was almost like a sharpshooter. He looked like a sniper out there. And those beautiful left hooks that knocked down Ryan Garcia in the second round, like, that was a work of art. Caught him with the first left hook right in the chin, and then wobbled him a little bit, but it was the second one that completely threw him off balance and got the knockdown. I mean, that at the end, it was a very lopsided decision loss to Ryan Garcia. And it wasn't a very competitive fight at all. I think that for the story of the fight was Ryan Garcia not really letting his hands go, his Rolly Romero counter punching anything that Ryan Garcia would try to do, and this led to a very low output for both fighters. I think Ryan Garcia looked flat, he looked dejected, and I'm very curious to know, like, what was his training cycle like his training camp, because that also could have played a factor leading up into this fight. I mean, it's been over a year since he fought. Like, ring rust is a real thing. Like, how was he looking in sparring compared to his past fights? And it's funny too, because in this particular fight, he was also like, he was more humble during the lead up. And look what happened. In the last fight, it was like very chaotic, a lot of drama, and he ended up knocking out Devin Haney. And this one is like the total opposite, right? So I do think that because they also sparred together, I feel like that had to play a factor. I feel like Rolly Romero was very confident. He looked very comfortable. And I don't think that he was fazed by anything Ryan Garcia threw out there. And I do think that there's a level of familiarity that you develop with an opponent when you spar them. So I have to think the fact that they sparred before, and Rolly Romero, he has a general understanding of Ryan Garcia's punches, the power, how it feels. I don't think he was scared at all. And big shout out to Rolly Romero. Where he goes from here, I would love to see him fight Teofimo. That would be a fantastic matchup. I would love to see him fight either Teofimo or Devin Haney. Why not? Initially that was a fight to make, Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia. But since Rolly Romero just beat him, why not? I do think styles make fights, and now's the right time to fight Devin Haney. Speaking of Devin Haney, he put on one of the worst performances in professional boxing history. Like, that was horrible. Like, he looked so jittery. Like, he was just running the whole fight. Barely, like, anytime he threw a punch, he would just, like, literally lean back and body shot. And, like, he has such a, like, his style, like, he looks so chin weak. Like, he looked like he has a glass jaw. Like, every time his opponent threw a punch, like, he would flinch and run for dear life. So I think if Rolly Romero has a chance at any point to beat Devin Haney, I think is now, because I don't think Devin Haney's confidence has been built back up since his Ryan Garcia loss, and I think Rolly Romero has a chance to crack him, and if he cracks him, I don't think Devin Haney would be able to recover. So I think that's a perfect fight to make. I think there's a lot of a lot of emotions behind it, a lot of excitement with him upsetting Ryan Garcia and completely ruining everyone's parlay. So I think that's definitely the fight to make. I will definitely be tuning in. In the first of the triple header main events, Teofimo Lopez with such a spectacular performance. I think Teofimo Lopez, he's just an all-action fighter in like his movement, in the weigh-ins. Arnold Barboza is no slouch, and I think he just made it look easy. He knows what to do. He was very engaging, entertaining in the lead up to the fight. Showed up to the weigh-in and several press conferences with a luchador mask, and on the night of the fight, he brought it. I think that he just has a different championship caliber level of experience that Barboza doesn't have. So I think that at the beginning, it was a little bit competitive, but as the rounds wore off, I do think that Teofimo started to pull ahead, and I think that was literally the difference in the fight. I think Teofimo Lopez is a championship caliber fighter. He's one of the best in the division. And I think that where he goes from here, like, I would love to see him fight Gervonta Davis. I think that's the fight to make. I know that Gervonta got the rematch with Lamar Peterson coming in June, but I do think that Teofimo Lopez versus Gervonta Davis is such an exciting fight. Guaranteed fighter works. Just imagine the lead up to the fight. Like, both of these guys have very fantastic personalities. They understand the entertainment side of boxing, where you want to engage with the fans. You want to go ahead and express yourself and give fans the things to talk about, and then in the ring they both back it up. So I think that's a perfect fight to make. I know that Gervonta got the rematch, so hopefully he wins that one, and then they can make that fight. But Teofimo Lopez, definitely must-watch TV. And overall, I think that the event Times Square, Fatal Fury in Times Square, was fantastic. I think the Ring Magazine, the Your Royal Highness and Raya Season and all those elements that brought in that event to Times Square is fantastic. I think Turkey is doing amazing work, and they made history. I've never seen a fight or a ring set up like that in the middle of Times Square, and the way they did it with all the A-list celebrities, all the fighters. I saw Terrence Crawford there. Meek Mill, the rapper, was there, and it was so cool. Like, the way that they quarantined it. My understanding is that there was like 400,000 people that passed by Times Square that day, and I just think it was fantastic. Like, everything was so high level, from the rings, the Titantrons, the screens. It just looks so cool. And I love the fact that they're investing so much money into the presentation, because this presentation was top notch, one of the best I've ever seen. And I think that the fact that the pay-per-view was only $29, that this is a bargain. Like, they're transcending the market of boxing and completely reimagining what the sport is and what the sport looks like. I've never seen a triple header with this high level caliber of fighter for that price. Never in the history of boxing. And if you think about it, because of the sitting arrangement, they didn't sell no tickets. So these type of events is literally about building the sport, giving back to the sport. And me as a boxing enthusiast, I'm all here for it. I thought the presentation was fantastic. I think it was cool. It was something that we'd never seen before. I'm a big fan of the Saudi Arabia events, and I love the way that they try to infuse music, concerts, and everything before the fight. And I think that it was just a fantastic presentation. I hope they do it again, like in Times Square. I think that's something that they could develop and really build for the future. And so overall, I think that event, I would give it a 9 out of 10. I think the biggest upset of the night, of course, Ryan Garcia losing, and it was just surprising how flat he looked throughout the fight. I think the best performance of the night, definitely Teofimo Lopez. I think he's definitely a megastar. I can't wait to see what he does next. I think the worst performance, I think, is a tie between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. And of course, upset of the night, Rolly Romero. So big shout out to Rolly Romero, especially from the First Strike podcast. We're so proud of you, and we can't wait to see what happens next. So moving on to Saturday, we had Canelo. Canelo was fighting on Saturday. He was fighting in Saudi Arabia, and it was definitely a very interesting night, because to me it was also one of the worst fights that I've seen in boxing. Like, I felt like the presentation, even leading up to it, everyone was like, "Oh, who's that? Who is it that he's fighting?" And my understanding was that this guy, his name was Skull. He was like William Skull. He was like a very popular, Cuban fighter. He had a style, very, that Cuban-based boxing, very amateur-heavy background, and that he might give Canelo fits because of his style, the size, and stuff like that. And it was horrible. Like, this guy was running. I thought I was watching like a marathon. He was there trying to set PRs. He was running all around the ring. Canelo trying to chase him down. But this guy was literally doing whatever he can to avoid any exchanges. Like, it was one of the worst fights that I've seen. I almost fell asleep halfway through, but I'm glad that I woke up towards the end, because the highlight of that entire event was the end, when they finally announced the mega fight, the dream fight, the super fight of the undefeated Terence Crawford moving up to fight Canelo for the undisputed championship. And they announced this fight for September. I think this is fantastic. I think right now is the time to do it. When you think about both of these fighters, at this point in their careers, they should only be fighting legacy fights. Like, I get what Canelo's trying to do. He's getting paid, he's making money, he's going out there and in boxing and staying active. But I feel like at this point, I want to see him do exactly what Terence Crawford is doing. Take on these legacy fight against the most popular, legendary fighters that are still active in your weight class. And for Terence Crawford to move up 2-3 weight divisions to chase those dreams, I mean, it's just admirable. I feel like styles do make fights. Terence Crawford looked big when they stare down. They look almost similar size. It looked like he has been bulking up, and I think it's going to be a fantastic fight. I mean, is Canelo declining? Is there a chance that Terence Crawford could crack him? Is he going to retain that speed, that power that made him undisputed champion not once but twice before? I think is excellent timing for this fight. It's in September. The only thing I do wish was that Terence Crawford would get a tune-up. It would have been cool to see also Terence Crawford fight this weekend. That way they're both, have a tune-up under their belt leading up to their big clash in September. But my understanding is it's going to be in Las Vegas, and it's going to be in a stadium. So I can't wait to see the build-up for that. Fantastic. I can't wait to see that. I think in that fight, who am I going for? I don't know, man. You got to give it. You got to give credit and respect to Terence Crawford. Of course, for Canelo for taking the fight, but I think that Terence Crawford, he's naturally the smaller guy, moving up multiple weight classes at both points in their career. None of them have to do this. So the fact that they're doing this for the fans and for their legacy speaks volumes of who they are and what they're looking to do. I think that, it's going to be very, very exciting times. The closer we get to the fight, the closer I'll do a prediction video talking about who I think is going to win and why. But moving on to, I think that's pretty much it for boxing. It was a double night of boxing, fantastic. It was just a moment you had to witness and be there. On the UFC side of things, Saturday there was a card headlined by Corey Sandhagen versus David Figueiredo, and in that fight, Corey Sandhagen beat Figueiredo by TKO. And I think that for Corey Sandhagen, I actually predicted him winning that fight. I think that he was just too big. He was too big for Figueiredo. He was too aggressive. It was funny because he kind of finished him like in a heel hook position. And because of the way that he has been developing his skill set, infusing that grappling, I felt like he was going to pick apart Figueiredo from the outside, but he completely surprised me. It's a tough loss for Figueiredo, who I felt like was building a name for himself in the division, especially after finishing Cody Garbrandt. For Sandhagen, it's exactly what he needed at this point in his career. Get that victory by finish. And hopefully continue to work himself back into the top of the rankings. I think if Murad beats Sugar Sean O'Malley, I think Sandhagen versus O'Malley is a perfect stylistic matchup that who wouldn't want to be, who wouldn't want to see. Like, that's going to be a stand-up battle. And I would definitely look forward to that fight. And I think that for Sandhagen, it's a much-needed win, and congratulations to him. In terms of the rest of the card, the biggest upset of the night, the one fight that everyone's talking about, is Bo Nickal losing. So Bo Nickal, he lost. A lot of people are saying that he got fraud checked. The hype train has been derailed, and the reason why is because he got stopped by Reiner de Ridder with a devastating knee in the in the fight, and it was something that occurred in the second round. This marks Bo Nickal's first professional loss in the UFC, and it was shocking to say the least. I feel like his opponent didn't get the credit he deserved. This is a former ONE champion, multiple weight champion in the ONE FC, and I think that he just came ready. He had the right strategy. He was swarming him with body shots, really, really damaging the body, and that knee, that pulling knee, the way he angled it. I just don't think that Bo Nickal has seen that type of striking. Someone that's completely swarmed him and was not afraid to get in his face and make the fight dirty. And I do think that the way he lost kind of makes me question a lot of things. Like, I don't understand. Like, he wasn't knocked out. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Brock Lesnar versus Alistair Overeem, where he kind of gave in to like the body shots. And I get it, like, body shots will completely rehabilitate you, but it almost seemed like he accepted his fate. Like, the way he was kind of like turtling on the floor. I was a big fan of Bo Nickal. Everyone's saying that the hype train is derailed. This is the first time he faces a former champion in a different organization. A really, really stiff test, and he failed the test and gets finished. Where does he go from here? I don't know, man. It's a devastating loss to someone that had been building some momentum, someone that had been nicknamed and labeled the next big thing in the sport of MMA with his wrestling credentials. Everyone was saying that he's the next one to be in the top of the middleweight rankings. People were saying that him versus Chimaev is a fight to make, and look at that, he gets finished by knee in the second round. So shout out to the Ritter. I think that was a fantastic win. He's always had a very strong striking background, and I think that he's putting it together. So where he goes from here, I mean, he's calling out Sean Strickland, and who wouldn't want to see that? So I definitely think that's a fight to make. And when I look back at this weekend, those were the notable highlights. I think those on the UFC fight, on the UFC side, the Bo Nickal upset and the Sandhagen finish were, what stood out to me. And then on the boxing side, those 4 fights with Teofimo, the Ryan Garcia loss, and the Devin Haney running away, as well as Canelo Snoozer, were the ones that stood out to me. So with that being said, that wraps it up for episode 17 of the First Strike podcast. As always, you guys can check us out on Instagram. Every single week, I'll bring you guys a podcast episode, and we're going to be analyzing and talking about the fights that happened over the weekend or any notable things in the sport. So I'm very happy that you guys are tuning in, supporting the channel. Please, if you watch this, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I can't do what I do without you. Thank you so much. Until next time, my name is the Marathon Don, and I am out.